whether off of Amazon or Pocrunion's site, when you get the DVD for Beyond Lemuria, The Shaver Mystery, and The Secrets of Mount Shasta, you get an audio commentary track as it shows the video as one of its features. I'm going to list timestamps for some comments. 55 minutes and 15 seconds. Christian nationalism like this does exist. 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 14 seconds. What can be the case of those women who reject the direction of what is honored in Mother's Day? 1 hour and 41 minutes. What might be produced as an experience in Christians if they realized their mythology fits a well-established archetype and mystery school type? 1 hour and 33 minutes and 34 seconds. Don't get me wrong, some hippie idea of Mother's Day or the greeting card lives are not something to be part of. As you can see, my first comments for this video that I posted online were on a Mother's Day. And it's a movie. It's symbolic. It's related to the second degree initiation. The comment goes a bit too much, into the whole idea that it's symbolic, but I think that goes without saying. But that's, to me, some of the audience may need to hear that. And 24 minutes and 17 seconds. Apologies to the Asiatic actor for having him play the evil ninja, but they couldn't resist using the costume. At this point in the audio commentary, I think they actually did worse by throwing in the comment, but I think people realize that when you have a character on a movie that you're not saying that everybody of a particular group is a particular way, whether it's good or bad. And honestly, somebody disciplined and crafty and stuff like this, I don't think it's something to criticize. But 27 minutes and 2 seconds. What do the chthonic spirits have to offer us? The whole movie centers around like a Golden Dawn temperance card. Like the angelic magic in one version you paint and the goetic stuff in the other, or perhaps the left-hand path and the right-hand path, or some other division that you want to look at that with. And of course, in the Magic Solomon video, we have the combining of the two into a cohesive system. And one hour, 5 minutes, 39 seconds. Personal experiences can give personal inflections of myths that left details out I like when I hold rituals to give a space in some of them for people to express their experiences. As you've seen in some of the videos, I tend to have a gap in the middle that, you know, these things aren't explicitly mentioned, but in certain public things, it's like, okay, at the end or in the middle when you're scrying and somebody says what they see and all that stuff. 1 hour, 3 minutes, 57 seconds. There certainly is a difference between babbling wildly and something coming through of a spiritual message in a real language. 1 hour and 5 minutes. Sometimes multiple spiritual sides get what they need from a spiritual operation. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 1 second. Some people really are like this. When they encounter something different, even if it doesn't actually contradict their own principles, let's not get so caught up in and confined by culture. And some of these comments are posted closer to each other than otherwise. One hour, 10 minutes, 48 seconds. The lies about adrenochrome are just a more technical version of the same old story. Now, there are some techniques and truths conveyed in some of those stories. Honestly, adrenochrome is one of those chemicals that stops you from having a heart attack and stuff when you're supercharged up. It's the breakdown of adrenaline. So you're not charged up and angry and, like somebody said, see, I was unfamiliar with the stuff. All I knew about was Adolf Huxley and his talk about how certain mushrooms might be comparative to adrenochrome. And I was asking a mushroom expert about that. Maybe why I haven't been invited to any such event lately, but we have 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 5 seconds. Unicult never got the robot sex machine center open, but it may have been that those dolls look too much like Unicol Unicron with a lot of surgery. Of course, I'm bouncing this off the unendurable pleasure machine, and I don't remember what movie that's supposed to be off of. I'm really not recommending that. As I said, my interest in Beyond Lemuria was the allegory of it all. And there was somebody that I watched the other Church of Hermetic Science videos with, and when it came to certain scenes in the movie, I was like, hey, people really do believe this sort of stuff. And this is sort of a hodgepodge of, you can go one direction or another, and, each direction is really for all types. I think is one of the messages you can bounce the movie off of. But, there's culpability and there's really a distinction between the general two sides that you're looking at. And in bringing up any particular book or movie or whatever, I'm not saying that I agree totally with everything that was ever said, or some silly expectation that people have. Oh, that book on your table. Seriously, people will comment on videos. It's like, that book on your table, there's a problem that you may not be aware about. It's like, no, watch my comment before you make comments like that. But 42 seconds into the movie, regardless of disclaimers, people are culpable on levels beyond legality, in the effects that they have, the influence they have, because certain things that people say in front of their books, it's like, come on, you know what your book was for. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. More movies should start with invocations. Enochian is a good choice. Now, one thing that was not a good choice for the movie was making it dated to the whole 2012 thing. But that could have given it more potential to reach a larger audience and then be completely forgotten. So it's a toss-up. So it's a more lasting. I mean, it would have been a more lasting cult classic, but it's definitely worth that $10 cost plus shipping and handling or whatever that it is now. As I said, there's a couple in the other program I did on this. There's a couple inserts, and I think those are worth the price on its own. The audio commentary is worth the price on its own. Honestly, anything by Church of Hermetic Sciences or Temple Astartes is worth going through, whether you totally agree with them or not. 2 minutes and 57 seconds. When doing initiations, it is important to have a prefatory period to alter the perception of surroundings. The plan is that before this video is released, that somebody is going to be initiated in person, and there's going to be a opening to that. And then there's particular formulas. And I mean, I've given examples of initiations on my channel, but I certainly don't have, coffins for people to crawl into and but I have some stuff I could use as an effects. 3 minutes and 33 seconds. It is important that initiations represent a crossing of an abyss by choice to further choices in a new life. And 4 minutes and 12 seconds. No matter what we are taught, are presented with, we are ultimately culpable for what we do with it. 12 seconds. So you need to step off that vicarious stuff and become your own hero, really. 5 minutes and 10 seconds. I don't think we need to moralize dissent or assent. Both can be done for the spiritual side of your choice. Just like the right-hand path and left-hand path, it's really a flow thing. Yoga and Tantra, it's, not really competing paths, if you think about it. 6 minutes and 27 seconds. A person can say that the aliens people speak of are either not good influences or have plans that are not regarding the welfare of humans. 9 minutes and 45 seconds. The people during and before, when most people think civilization started, knew of things about geography that seems like it would have been impossible to know in even the colonial age. Well, it appears that even between different types of human, extinct types of human versus more modern ones, that certain mythological information was handed down, and that explains a whole lot. It's like, how did they know that this was during this period? And, they knew, or they could have calculated it, perhaps, the same way that we do. 10 minutes and 45 seconds. I guess freedom of fantasy and desire needs context of accepting a different sort of religion for some to accept it. 13 minutes and 24 seconds. H.P. Lovecraft was not one to confuse the planes of existence. Temple of Blood also treats H.P. Lovecraft as sort of an indirect prophetic figure. 14 minutes and 2 seconds. There are different contexts and techniques for scrying. Some will intentionally distort their vision. And 15 minutes and 40 seconds. Nowadays, we know that the remains of mammoths is explained by conditions they lived in during the tens of thousands or so years in the range of these so-called flash frozen bodies. There is also no visitor planet that visits every so many thousand years. And in the comment, they admit that, yeah, it's kind of, we know this isn't quite true, but it's something. The explanation of the flash frozen bodies is, of course, we find that these tended to be during periods of time where there were mudslides and avalanches. And it's the spacing out of the times where the bodies that were as close to perfectly preserved as anything that old is going to be, the spacing in between those bodies is erratic. It's not 3,600 years or anything you could predict a cycle with. I know I read a lot of those Zechariah Sitchin books back in the day, and Whitley Strieber and all that ancient alien stuff that I could get my hands on, the library, piles of books. I mean, I read Egyptology and all sorts of stuff too, but it's just not the best explanation. 18 minutes and 5 seconds. An essential of magic is to end the abrogation between physical, mental, and spiritual, to work with the connections. And where's the next one? 19 minutes and 35 seconds. We are in a growing age of censorship, but certain sources will be available if we need them. It is important to get feedback on the spiritual, on the physical sciences and how they relate to our spiritual work. "20 minutes and 50 seconds. Any technology or items that can be used to aid spiritual practice still require our developing with them. It used to be, I would see these ads for certain devices, electronic and otherwise, that would like somehow enhance magical spells. And certainly maybe the feeling, the machines and the patterns and all that stuff, but the power isn't you. The power isn't going along with some of the stuff. So if you don't have the practices, it's not like these, don't treat machines like some sort of charm or amulet. You still got to do your own spiritual practices. Like I've played around with brainwaves, and it's like, if you don't meditate along with this material, it's, and 21 minutes and 43 seconds. When family finds your alternative religion texts or records. Not family, although I have had things thrown away or whatever because of family. But I do remember how some people have commented and stuff. It's like, as long as we don't visit your house and see things flying around or something, and it's like, it doesn't quite work on that physical level, but although you can see some differences, mainly glitches in photographs or something like that. But 26 minutes and 24 seconds. When certain motivations are not the drive, more are a purer experience of those types of results may be more common. Everything and everyone is evil to someone. It may be better to not tell those who are not involved, but explain if they find out. Now, the thing in that is the guy that promised his wife, that part of the story. "31 minutes and 24 seconds. There are differing views and approaches of what it means to be draconian. And remember, Dracon was the guy who made those triangular little stelas that had his strict law system on it. So that's where we Dracon into draconian. 35 minutes. Spiritual operations and technology can work together, but one needs to know the methodologies. Six minutes and 26 seconds. It's sort of the message of this political cycle. 38 minutes and 23 seconds, particularly on the path of descent. People will encounter beings that are not as they say they are. 35 minutes and 4 seconds. Some will dishonestly say that they don't want children, but it is really that they haven't rectified it with their lifestyles. 37 minutes and 40 seconds. There can be local alternatives of mythical places. 43 minutes and 34 seconds. Had to deal with some bugs in the middle of that. 44 minutes and 26 seconds. Spiritual guides and soulmates are not supposed to be the same as mere fantasy, but the external of the internal recollection. 47 minutes and 35 seconds. Subjective realities exist, but objective reality needs to be accepted and not ignored. 49 minutes and 5 seconds. Films towards attainment. I'm not entirely sure what I meant there. But certainly you can use material that exists towards your own personal attainment. If you're capable of doing an actual pilgrimage or ritual or something yourself, you need to step away from being led by the video when that happens, though. Or perhaps do it another time. 42 minutes and 21 seconds is the coldest moment of the film. Government presence or control of mystical organizations probably doesn't authenticate nor discredit them. 51 minutes and 25 seconds. I wonder how many things are ritually places in unseen realms, are what texts might be so guarded. Oh, are ritually placed. Okay, yeah. Like you go to the vision and then there's like some text there. That's sort of the myth behind the Quran, right? Is that the Quran came down and Muhammad took 23 years to learn it, but it was, sent down to the lower heaven, as you could call it, and then Muhammad was told about it. But that's a different context than this record that was sent off to, to where it was sent off of and that sort of thing in the movie. So the thing in the movie was of a darker angle. 54 minutes and 4 seconds. Group ritual may not be about one's own experience of it, but of a broader or more important purpose. 59 minutes and 19 seconds. Don't expect recordings of rituals to show how they feel, their emotions, and their psychological state. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 21 seconds. It takes self-actualization. Self-realization and self-actualization aren't just degrees in some group called Ekankar. They're actual parts of any legitimate spiritual path, or at least something that represents a legitimate spiritual path should have it there. And 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 23 seconds. This has got to be a joke about the usual expressions of glossolalia. And, you have to see the movie to get the quote. But 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 3 seconds. The truth behind the jumping are alternate timelines, myths. It's seeing different potentials, are wanting something of a speculative alternative identity, or even the shadow. Rather than different lifetimes and quantum leap and all that other stuff, you just got to realize that any choice can have a lot greater effect than just one little thing. And most of that's on a different plane, but those things add up in this world too. One hour, 10 minutes, and 14 seconds. The approach to magic, as if it will succeed, will place the experience in a context suitable to you. 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 44 seconds. There are beings that are there before one even starts rituals or one's own spiritual path. 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 3 seconds. One may embody one's chosen mythology. 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 57 seconds. When we act out our experiences, they become more real. Of course, that doesn't mean that in every ritual you start to see or feel something strange. You kind of wander off to the side and enact with it. I've been to ceremonies at the Sekhmet Okio Lodge. I don't think they have that location anymore, but I've been there in Portland, Oregon. And there were experiences that I had and other people had that you just waited till the ceremony was over to have your interaction with it. You didn't just get up and walk across the room and talk to the colored blob or whatever it was that or the unseen creature that had made itself known to you. You don't do that, right? And honestly, by not doing that, the experience tends to build up. 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 34 seconds. Continue with the spiritual practice rather than abandon it, and the vision should develop further. And 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 50 seconds. Fight the beliefs and choose your action, but don't stifle the coming experience. We're, of course, referring to what happened with the preacher being there for other people in what they were practicing. 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 32 seconds. Prepare your shadow to thrive when it is brought out in the nightmare room. And by nightmare room, I use the Temple of Blood sort of terminology for one way of approaching the shadow. 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 7 seconds. Remain active in your development, or something undesirable may take over. 1 hour, 38 minutes, 7 seconds. 1 hour, 39 minutes. Portals open and are ready to receive blood in one way or another. 1 hour, 40 minutes, 20 seconds. The entities that you need to know about will be known about, and those you need to encounter will be encountered. So not necessarily the ones you try to order around or whatnot, right? Mythological figures are secondary to the types. 1 hour, 41 minutes, 1 second. And 1 hour, 44 minutes, 45 seconds. Let experience guide you. Focus on your remaining abilities. 1 hour, 54 minutes and 25 seconds. Some irreversible decisions must be made. And of course, if you don't make decisions, that's a decision in itself too. 1 hour, 55 minutes and 29 seconds. Be honest with the content and meaning of your experiences. Work with others. Doesn't have to be a compromise with your paradigm. And that finishes up the comments that I am going to share there. Of course, make your own comment on this, your own comment on the movie. I have divided the mythology somewhat in the meme. You have a different but united on the ascending Mount Shasta mythology way. You have a cult divided. People don't know whether you're going after roles or identity. And unofficial choices. And as I said before, this movie is sort of a Trump number 14, temperance. And it was nice after all these years to see an update to it and to, you know, consider this in a timed commentary sort of fashion. And yeah, it's not a top budget film. So all the criticism about, oh, it's not, you know, of course it wasn't a first run film and was probably entirely, except maybe a private showing up at the Hermitage of the Church of Hermetic Sciences or something like this, or so. I'm sure they've probably showed it more than once up there, or it's in the things that you can watch in the study, if that's considered allowed to do at some point. I'm not sure what they have in their library. There's probably times where things can actually be watched in the center. Certainly there's been slideshows and stuff like that over the years. And yeah, it's one of those movies that if you go along with it and you try to identify with the themes rather than just, you know, try to expect it to be like a blockbuster sort of movie, it works more like that. Of course, maybe it will reach some people that wouldn't have been reached from the magical angle. But then again, just like Kenneth Anger films, this thing is about sort of doing a magic upon the audience, isn't it?